David Kip Koontz, Democrat running for alderman and incumbent, current alderman. David, how you doing?
Doing very well, Blaine. How are you?
Good. And you're the incumbents, because I've talked to Paul, I've talked to Alan so far. I'll talk to Donna next week. The incumbents, their interviews are just a tiny bit different because you all have the opportunity to talk about some of the things that you have done for the past 4 years. But for those turning in, I always started out with the question, tell us a little bit about yourself, personal, professional. If anyone doesn't know who David Kip Koontz is, who is he?
Well, I'm, as you said, David Kip Koontz. I've been very active in our community with the Chamber of Commerce, with the Greater Frederick Advertising Federation. I've been a board member with the Frederick County chapter of the Red Cross. Very involved with the arts community in the city of Frederick. Currently serving as the liaison to the Weinberg Center, which is thankfully in the black, which we're very happy to hear about.
Very good.
And just been very active in the Frederick community, working for the rights of the little person.
All right. So now you're going for your second term as alderman. What was kind of your decisions of why to run for re-election?
Well, I think we have some things that we need to finish. We need to make sure that the improvements of the bridges from Monocacy Boulevard and Christopher Crossing get completed, that Monocacy Boulevard gets completed. We have to finish the next phase of Carroll Creek correctly. We need to look at ways to continue to improve the Route 40 corridor, the East Street corridor, and figure out the appropriate way to develop, now that we've annexed in the North End, to make sure that doesn't overburden our citizens, but adds to the quality of life in the city of Frederick.
Now, you bring up the annexations. All annexations are a hot topic, no matter when they're done. Last night, you all approved annexations. There's always two different points of view, one from the inside, one from the outside. From the inside, give us your point of view of why those annexations were appropriate.
A couple of reasons. First, they have been put on the comprehensive plan for the city of Frederick for 20 to 50 years. Our administration actually looked at the comprehensive plan and took a lot of properties off. For instance, to the further west of the city that had been proposed, to the further east of the city across the Monocacy that had been proposed. But the north just makes some sense. I mean, it just continues to the contiguous border of the city of Frederick. Plus, it's been put on the water plan that we can provide water for it. So it just made sense. And, the one thing that I said last night is the issue of, does it become a self-fulfilling prophecy? That if you put it on a plan, you have to do it. But when a property owner sees for 20, 30, 40 years that, okay, at some point I'm going to get annexed into the city and I'm going to be able to sell it, and I'm going to be able to do this, that, and everything else. If after 20, 30, whatever years, you don't allow them to do that, is that really passing the KIPP fairness test? And that's what I had to run it through, the KIPP fairness test. And I think after a point, you just go, you got to do what you have to do because it's something that was promised. I mean, these decisions were made that this was the direction the city of Frederick was going to go. And economically, even, it's beneficial for the city because right now our tax rate is flat. Our tax rate is flat.
Now, the county commissioners, have had something to say about the annexations. I want to get your feedback to the point where they wrote that letter to the editor I saw, which I think, did they all sign that or was it just 4 out of 5? I thought they all did.
I don't know. I think they all did. Actually, people that don't live in the city of Frederick can have their own opinion, but we were elected to represent the city of Frederick and the residents of the city of Frederick and what is best in our judgment that is best for the residents of the city of Frederick. And we have to do what we needed to do. And you saw last night it was a 5-4-5 vote on the 3 different annexations. First one was 5, which was unanimous. Next one was 4. The next one was 5, which was unanimous. So we had to do what we had to do. So we had to take it into our own consideration. None of the commissioners live in the city, and that's nice that they feel the way they feel, and I appreciate their opinion. But I'm elected to represent the best interests of the city of Frederick.
What about tax equity?
We need to make sure that we're working with the state delegation to change the law in Annapolis to make sure that we're able to get our money back, and that county commissioners can't play, the bouncing ball game with, well, we're not going to give the municipalities what they deserve because we need to balance our budget first. So, to me, what happened in this last go-around was complete disrespect of the municipalities in the county of Frederick.
You bring up the fact that you're the liaison with the Weinberg Center, and the Weinberg's doing good this year.
Yeah.
I don't, have they been doing for a couple good years now, or just...
Ever since we have a...
We'll talk a little bit about that, because the Weinberg has always been kind of a topic during election cycles.
It has.
Not one now.
Not one now, because we have, I'm sorry, I hope I don't get in trouble and you don't have to bleep me, but we have one hell of a board, and we have one hell of a manager of the Weinberg. He knows how to balance what kind of an act can come in and fill the venue and figure out the prices. We have a board that is very aggressive at searching for fundraising and grants, as well as John, our manager, John Healy. And we, frankly, this administration, and I'm very happy to have been involved with this, we hit a home run. I mean, we put the right people in the right place during this last 3 years after we appointed John. Then we have this new board for the last 3 years. We have knocked it out, and I'm just very proud. They've worked very, very hard, very, very diligently, and the city's not playing politics because the board isn't playing politics. The board's saying, this is our responsibility, which is to fundraise. It's not to run the daily operations of the Weinberg, which some boards have thought that was their responsibility, was to run the daily operations. Well, it isn't. The city runs the daily operations. Once this board accepted their responsibility to fundraise, they have done one age of a job, and that's the best I can. I mean, I'm so proud of them. I can't even say enough. And I can't even say enough about how lucky we were to get John Healy as our manager.
All right, what are some of the other issues in the city that's important to you and you want to focus on in this next election cycle?
Well, I heard, previously talking about the Historic Preservation Commission. Obviously, that's important because I've been liaison to that for the last 4 years. Politics have been played with the most recent
Volt decision.
The Volt decision got really misinterpreted. It didn't have anything to do with the Historic Preservation Commission. It had to do with the mayor overstepping his bounds by telling staff that they don't have to follow the law. That's what that issue was. And somehow it turned into an HPC issue, which it wasn't, other than the fact that the mayor told the city staff that they didn't have to follow the HPC decision. But there are guidelines that have been held up in politics that would have addressed some of these issues. They make the law much more specific instead of subjective. But again, they haven't been passed because of politics. And the guidelines have been held up. So that is very important to me. We have to continue with that. We also have to continue to make sure that we deal with overcrowding issues. That's highly important, that we have to deal to make sure that all of our neighborhoods, that we don't have to fight with too many people living in too small a house, which means bringing on more code enforcement officers. We need to bring on more police officers.